Any players on this year's Golden Knight Ball Club. Tell us about some of these players and what they've done in the past for St. Francis.
Well, a big strength of our team this year will be our returning veterans, obviously. We have some players who are good size. We have some real good speed, and we have a veteran quarterback, which is a big asset for any team. Our tailback is very good, Alan Grant. He was the first-team All-League player last year. He's got great speed, and he's a real smart kid, very intense, and we think he's going to be a great player. We have some real big offensive linemen who are not only big, but they're very good, and we expect them to be as good a unit as a whole and as great as individual players as there are around. David Hallstrom is one of our tackles, and Jamie DeRose is another one of our tackles. They're both 250 pounds plus, and they're real good players. And we have a guard, Steve Miller, who is 230-pounder. He's a real good player. Our center's a big kid. Our right guard, who's the little guy on our returning unit, is 195 pounds, and that's certainly not little, and he's very quick and smart. So we feel like that's going to be the strength of our team, and you know, those guys will be seeing a lot of action two ways. But if we can keep them healthy, we should be pretty good in that area.
Last week, the little campus of St. Francis took on the large campus of Pasadena High School, and it was not the most exciting first half in the world for the Golden Knights. Would you like to play that first half over again?
Yeah, well, there's probably a lot of things in life we'd like to do over again. I felt like before the game we could beat them and should have beaten them, and I feel that now. If we played them again, we would beat them. But we didn't beat them the first time, and I thought that we would have. Maybe we wouldn't again. I like to be positive. I think we could have, and I think we should have, and I think, again, if we played them, we would beat them. But unfortunately, you don't get that chance, or unfortunately, you don't get that chance. We can't play them again, even in the playoffs, because they're in a different division than we are, smaller conference, and so you just take the lumps and you learn from them and you go on.
Tell us a little bit about that ball game.
Well, I think we went in a little bit flat in the sense that when schools play St. Francis, I don't know if our kids believe it or not, but everybody that plays us really gets emotionally ready to play, because we have a tradition of being a great football team. We go to play Pasadena, it's just playing Pasadena. When they come to play us, it's knocking somebody off, knocking a Big Five team off, knocking a powerhouse off, and I don't know if our kids believe that, but that's true. And if you were at the game, you saw that they were very excited and very intense, and we went in the first half and just were not. We went through the motions, and we didn't do as good a job as we could have. Had some bad breaks that they capitalized on, and before you know, a 7-0 game was 21-0, and now we have to play catch-up against a real good football team. It's not easy to do.
Terry has been coaching at St. Francis for about 8 years, Mike, and he was with Jack Friedman for all those glorious years with the Golden Knights, and I think going into his third season, he's experiencing what Jack experienced for 20 years. And you were over at La Cañada, and you talked to them.
That's right. I talked to Coach Steve Silverman, who is in his first year at La Cañada High School. We talked about the progress of his season so far and some other things. Coach, after 2 victories against Crescenta Valley and Glendale, your team has now won one more game than they did the whole last season. In what areas has this La Cañada team improved?
Probably the biggest area we've improved is in the area of strength development. Our team's a lot stronger now than we were a year ago. They're also a lot more aggressive. I think that our linemen know their jobs and they know how to do it. We run the ball this year, and it's something they have not been able to do here in the past.
That's right. I know that you junked last year's offense, and you put in a new pro-style attack. For those of you who are not familiar with what a pro-style type of offense is, can you explain that for us?
Sure. We run a real multiple formation, a lot of motion and shifting style of offense. We'll line up maybe 10, 12 different formations during the course of a game and not run a lot of plays out of those, but try and confuse the defense with all the different looks and try and give us an advantage that way.
Thus far, let's talk about your offense now. Thus far, how has that offense worked?
It's worked fairly well. We've been able to capitalize on the good field position that our defense has given us. We're still not to the point where we can put long drives together, and that's a place we need to improve. But when we get the ball in good field position, we've been able to score, and that's made the difference.
Okay, shifting gears now, let's talk about your defense, which has held both opponents scoreless in the last 2 games. How has it accomplished that?
Mostly through a lot of hard work on the part of the kids and tremendous aggressiveness. We are really fortunate that the kids just play aggressive defense. We have 10, 11 guys around the football every play. So even though we're not big, we have so many bodies there, we get the job done.
You told me yesterday that the quarterback, really, of your defense is Dork Aladoyan, who has really been a plus to your locking out of defense this year. How good is he, though?
Dork's as smart a player as I've ever coached. He has good skills in every area, but not great skills. But he maximizes everything he has with his intelligence. He's a 4.0 student. He runs the defense. He's our defensive quarterback. He changes plays. He audibilizes. He's just outstanding.
Talking about this week, your opponent this week is, of course, St. Francis. Besides Alan Grant, what scares you about this team?
They have incredible size and strength. They are as big and as talented and as strong a high school football team as you're going to want to find. They are one of the few teams that are very, very capable of playing old SC-style offense, just run right over the top of you. And they don't try and fool you. They just say, hey, this is what we're going to do. Stop us. And that's not an easy job.
Okay, are you going to be keen on Alan Grant on this game, or are you going to just try to just look out as to who has the ball?
We just have to look for who has the football. If we key on Alan Grant, their quarterback is a good enough passer that he'll burn us deep. You know, we have to read the keys that the entire offense gives us, the line, the quarterback, everybody else, and try and react to the play that shows up.
Coach, this is your first year here at La Cañada, and I understand that along as new head coach, you've also brought in some new members of the coaching staff this year. Can we talk about them?
Sure. The primary one, the guy who calls our defenses, is a gentleman named Ken Lutz. Ken comes to us from Orange County, from Sunny Hills High School, which coincidentally is the team that beat the team that I coached for last year in the CIF finals. I was at La Habra, and we played Sunny Hills at Anaheim Stadium. They beat us. So if you can't beat them, join them. I got him to come over here with me, you know. Also, we have a guy by the name of Mike Reno, who I coached with at Crespi High School. He was there for 4 years. R.J. Lacurdo, who happens to be a disc jockey on a country music station, but has been coaching a long time. Outstanding offensive line coach. Pat MacArthur, who comes to us from Taft High School in Woodland Hills. He was the head track coach there and an assistant football coach. And 1, 2, 3, 4, that's it. That's our staff.
Coach, you've got 2 wins under your belt now. Although this may be a premature question to ask, and regardless of what happens in tonight's game against St. Francis, do you see your La Cañada football team as legitimate contenders for the Rio Honda League Championship?
I always see our team as a contender because I don't think we're going to be out of any game. When you have a good defense, you always have a chance, and that's kind of the situation we're in. I would never predict that we would win it, but I think that we will be competitive all year long, and no matter who we play, we'll give them a tough ball game.
In addition to Dork Aladoyan, the Spartans also have on defense Brian Damon at nose guard and their linebacker Rick Schrader. They're going up against a tough offensive line for St. Francis. The game outcome could be determined by the battle of the neutral zone tonight, Bob.
Well, we've talked an awful lot about St. Francis and La Cañada being so close to each other and how the rivalry is so intense. I think what we should do is just get to that kickoff and let the folks tonight see what happens between the Golden Knights and the Spartans of La Cañada. And we'll be right back with that kickoff.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes, I want a Social Security retirement application for my uncle. I don't want him to miss his first check.
You know, you could have called.
I could have called. I should have called.
Most Social Security business can be handled by phone. Call before you visit.
More than 200 years ago, leaders like Patrick Henry and Thomas Jefferson gathered to forge the ideals which shaped this country's future. Each spring, America's top students return to historic Williamsburg as national winners in the Century Free Leader Scholarship Program. There they explore the challenges they will face as future leaders. If you're a high school senior, you can compete for $200,000 in Century 3 scholarships. Contact your principal or write Scholarship Box 33008, Washington, D.C. 20033.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From the campus of La Cañada High School, this is Bob Bree along with Mike Peterson. Just about ready for the opening kickoff here at La Cañada High School. The Spartans hosting the Golden Knights of St. Francis High School, which is right across the street and up the hill. These two schools haven't met for approximately 20 years, and tonight we have 4,000 enthusiastic fans here, Mike, ready to cheer both their teams on.
Well, it's going to be hopefully a renewal of a rivalry which has stopped in 1965. Well, St. Francis will have the ball. Well, they'll kick off, but when they get the ball, we'll get to see their great running back, Alan Grant.
Greg Hallion and Steve Halter are deep for the Spartans, and kicking off for St. Francis will be number 5, Anton Nissel. The officials for tonight's ball game, the referee is Leo Hendler, the umpire is Don Burpee, Bob Mizell is the field judge, and Dr. Willie Stupin is the headlinesman. And we're underway with Greg Hallion. Finds the hole. Gets it out to about the 31-yard line, where it will be 1st and 10 for the Spartans.
Great run by Greg Hallion in that time. He went up almost through up the middle, and if a couple of guys didn't tackle him for St. Francis, he might have gone all the way.
In
1st and 10.
In the backfield for the Spartans, you have Jay Gilson at quarterback, Steve Halter and Rob Myers, and the wide receivers are Greg Hallion and Eric Rigler. Center receiver was Mike Batance.
There you saw a quick out play which was attempted by the La Cañada Spartans, the play that Coach Silverman and his team were working on during the practices this week. And it's pretty much a play that they're going to use to try to surprise the St. Francis defense.
Excuse me, that intended receiver was Justin Kent. Justin Kent for the Spartans. Let's see a little bit of a multiple offense. One back remaining for the Spartans. The pitch goes to Halter, and he's going to be swarmed under. Rich Dinger in on a tackle for the Golden Knights, along with Mike Batance. Up front for the Spartans at center, Roy Olofsson, and the guards are Brian Chase and John Fonseca. The tackles are Eric Putler and Ernie Gonzalez. Eric Rigler and Greg Callahan are the wide receivers, along with Peter Matthews, the split end. Gilson, he has Justin Kent. He's up to about the 39-yard line, where he's brought down by Anton Nissel.
Justin Kent is one of the two fast receivers that La Cañada has. The other one is Greg Hallinan. The man with the good hands is Eric Rigler, number 48. He's their other wide receiver. He is usually a clutch catcher in passing situations for La Cañada.
It's close to a first down, but looks like we might have a penalty on the play. No, I guess they're gonna measure there, Mike.
The way it looks like, they will bring out the chain gang.
La Cañada coming out quickly with the pass.
Yeah, they're going to open it up. As you said, La Cañada has multiple formations. You'll see a lot of formations where they have two wide receivers to one side, a wing to the other, a one-back formation that is very popular now in pro football. As we said in the pregame show, it's pretty much a pro-style type of attack.
Well, we have 10:52 remaining here in the first quarter. It's a first down for the Spartans. Coach Steve Silverman expressed to us that playing La Cañada was like playing the old Trojans of USC.
Well, they've got the uniforms to match, almost.
We'll tell you about the Golden Knights defense and the end of this play. Gilson with the pitch to Halter. He hurdles one man, gets across the 40. On the tackle, number 77, Jamie DeRosa for the Golden Knights.
That one was a kind of an end sweep that time by Halter. As you said, he had to hurdle over a couple of Lackawanna St. Francis players.
Okay, defensive linemen. We have Vincent Moss, Rick Dinger, Jeffrey Arobio, Jamie DeRose, and Mike Batance. Halter in motion. Quick pass to number 23, Scott Zeal. Zeal takes it across the 50 into St. Francis territory, where it will be 1st and 10 on the 44-yard line of the Golden Knights.
Scott Zeal is also one of the linebackers on the Lackawanna defense. We'll see him in a position when they come up on the defensive side, but right now they're putting together a pretty good drive.
Ed Cunha and Mike Sanders are the linebackers for the Golden Knights. Gilson lets it fly. The intended receiver was Teddy Simpson.
So far this year, Gilson is 14 for 31 in passing. He's had 3 touchdowns. He's had 5 interceptions. That's been his big problem, but he has over 211 yards in passing so far.
Osterman and Tormina are the cornerbacks, with Nissel and Durness. Myers, he's down across the 30 to about the 29-yard line, where he's brought down by Paul Osterman of the Golden Knights. Good first drive for the Spartans. We saw this last week where the underdog Matadors took that ball on the opening kickoff and drove it down. And the talk around the stadium all night tonight, Mike, has been that the Spartans are excited about playing the Golden Knights.
Well, I can sure hear it.
Gilson sets him. He's back to pass. He lays it out. It's going to be too far. The intended receiver was Greg Hallahan.
On the last play, Rob Myers took that ball down through the alley. He ran it up the middle. Myers, according to Coach Silverman, is really the power runner. He's a classic type power runner. He's he can block, he can run. Doesn't have a lot of great speed, but he's a very good blocker, and he gets out there in the flat pretty well.
2nd and 10. Gilson sets him. The pitch to Halter. He gets it around to about the 27-yard line. Acuna on the tackle for the Golden Knights. Hallahan brings in the play for the Spartans. It'll be 3rd and a long 8. 4 down territory here, Mike. He has his man. Gilson with a nice shot to Greg Hallahan for the 1st down.
Nice pass there.
They're down about the 14-yard line, it looks like.
Very good pass by Jay Gilson. They're opening up. They're doing a little bit on the ground, a little bit through the air. They have a balanced offense. That's what Coach Silverman has been looking through all this season.
1st and 10. A little deja vu for the Golden Knights. Last week, Pasadena handled them. Zeal goes off his left guard, where he's brought down by number 76, Jamie DeRosa.
Coach Silverman calls Scott Zeal the all-purpose type of running back. He has good hands, he's a strong runner, and he's the man that they like to throw to if they need a running back that Gilson needs to wing a pass out.
The Golden Knights set their defense. Gilson gives it to Myers. He's down close to that goal line.
There you saw again Rob Myers powering through the middle.
It'll be a first down inside the 5-yard line at about the 1-yard line. Rob Myers off his right guard. First and goal. Gilson sets him. The handoff to Zeal. He loses about a yard. Where it'll be second down. DeRosa on the tackle for the Golden Knights.
That time they tried to go up the middle again, and St. Francis was looking for it, I believe.
Gilson sets him. Myers, and he's in for the touchdown. 6:21 remains here in the first quarter. Rob Myers takes it across from about the 3-yard line for the score. 6-0 La Cañada.
And so Coach Silverman has got to be pleased. That's exactly what he wanted to do. Just take the ball down St. Francis's line and try to mix up the plays a little bit. And now they're ahead 6-0 with the extra point by Rob Myers coming up.
Matt Murphy will attempt the extra point. He gets it up and across, and it's 7-0. Lots of time remaining here in the first quarter. But the Spartans take that ball off the opening kickoff and drive the ball from their own 27-yard line for the score.
That's right, Bob. As we said, they're mixing up the plays. La Cañada has a balanced offensive attack this year. That's one thing that Coach Silverman in his first year wanted to change from last year. Last year he said they couldn't run very well. They went most of the time with the pass. This year he's going to have a balanced offensive attack. And there you saw an example as La Cañada drove down the field. And they are ahead now 7-0, and St. Francis will get the ball. The scoring drive on that, they have 5 minutes and 39 seconds off the clock. Lasted 14 plays, 73 yards. They started on their own 27-yard line. It was capped by a 2-yard run into the end zone by Rob Myers.
Murphy will kick for the Knights. Number 32, Tracy Thomas, takes it in the end zone and will be brought out to the 20-yard line where the Golden Knights will take over.
All right, it'll be 1st and 10 for St. Francis, and now we'll get a chance to see their great running back, number 9, Alan Grant. Grant had 288 yards and 3 touchdowns in his first game against Bishop Montgomery, but he was limited to 55 yards in the next game against Pasadena High.
In the backfield for the Golden Knights will be Rick Patanza, quarterback, Scott Colton, the fullback, and Alan Grant, the tailback. Grant has it off his right tackle, picks up about 4 yards where he's met head on by Aladoyan. Dirk Aladoyan, you're going to hear his name a lot.
He is pretty much the quarterback of this defense. We'll talk about him later.
St. Francis goes without the huddle. Grant deep in the eye. The handoff goes to Grant. He goes to the left side. Coming across quickly was number 73, Ernie Gonzalez for, Brian David, the nose guard, was in on the tackle. Still no huddle. Again, the ball goes to Grant. He breaks off the left side. He's got running room. He may be gone. Touchdown.
Boy, just when you thought that La Cañada had him tracked in the backfield, he somehow caught it in and score the touchdown.
Wait a second.
We have a penalty.
flag on
Penalty
about
marker
the
down.
35-yard line, Mike.
Let's see.
It's going to be a holding penalty. A 75-yard run called back. It's one of the tough things that happens to great backs. Sometimes they get those long runs called back because of a mistake, a holding penalty. The flag coming from the head linesman, Dr. Willie Stupin, and he's a teacher over at Eagle Rock High School. The ball will be moved back to the 20-yard line where it will be third down. The Golden Knights coming out without a huddle, so we haven't had time to tell you about their line. Their line is anchored by some monstrous tackles. David Hallstrom, who's 6'4", 255 pounds, and Jamie DeRosa, who's 6 foot, 240 pounds. Their guards are Steve Miller, a mere 225, and Jeff Seabolt, he's the smallest at 190 pounds. John Konov is their center. He's at 224. Grant deep in the I formation. The handoff goes to him. He's got running room. He cuts it to the outside. He has the first down. He picks up 9 yards and gets 9, 10, 11, 12 yards and gets the first down.
He got some good blocking there from the St. Francis offensive line. As you said, it's a very, very tough line to block against. They're led by David Hallstrom, number 75, who is 6'4", 255 pounds.
Chris Caesar was the man who ran him out of bounds. Timeout by the Golden Knights. And that gives us a chance right now to talk about some things that are happening on Falcon Cable Television. As you all know, the San Gabriel Valley has a lot of talented kids, and they're not just in sports. There are some fine young musicians who are trying to make a go of it in the music world. And you'll have a chance to meet some of these kids and hear them perform on Falcon 3. The show's called Studio One, and you can catch it on Fridays and Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Mike, we've got 5 minutes left here in the first quarter, and it's been an exciting start for the Spartans, but St. Francis has come right back and starting to engineer their own drive.
That's right, but that penalty hurt. However, Alan Grant, the great runner that he is, was able to get the first down anyway. But that losing that 6 points still didn't help anything for St. Francis.
Coach Terry Terrazone going without the huddle. Who needs a huddle? Just give the ball to Alan Grant. And it goes to Grant again off the left side. Where a group of cardinal and gold-clad Spartans meet him. On the tackle were Damian, Gonzalez, Schrader. It'll be 2nd and 8. The Tance pitches it to Grant. Grant fumbles, wisely covers it up. They lose about 4 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd and 11.
Alan Grant was very alert on that play. He saw the ball wasn't in his hands, and he just had to fall on it very quick.
Again, no huddle. Batant. He's back to throw. He has his man. Number 3, Sam McDermott. It'll be close to the first down, but not enough. It's on the 40-yard line, and St. Francis will be forced to punt.
And so that Lackawanna defense stops St. Francis on their initial drive. Lackawanna goes mainly with a 3-4 defense, although a lot of time, well, most of the time, you're going to see them stack up about 8 or 9 men up on that line.
Steve Halter deep for the Spartans, and doing the kicking is Julio Carballo. A nice punt off. Halter will take it on about his 24-yard line. He turns it up across the 25, where he's met by number 34, Brian Miller. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Spartans.
We have 3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining to play here in the first quarter. La Cañada is ahead 7-0, and they'll be on now with their second possession of the night.
Jay Gilson brings in that play from Coach Steve Silverman. Split wide to this side is Justin Kent. He's in motion. The pitch goes to Halter. He cuts it up inside across the 40 to the 42-yard line, where he's hit by number 77, Jamie DeRosa. Jamie DeRose.
DeRose is one of the players who also goes both ways. He is in at tackle for the St. Francis offensive unit.
Myers. Wait a second, they slipped in Wes Stevenson in there that time.
Wes Stevenson, number 35, is one of their second string running backs of the team.
He didn't look too second string on that play.
No.
Oh, in and out of the hands of number 36. When Stevenson, he had that ball in his hands and just couldn't hang on to it.
There you saw another quick out type of play that Coach Silverman is going to be running in the game so far. Zeal is going out for La Cañada.
Gilson sets him. Myers breaks one tackle across the 50 to the 48-yard line, where he's finally brought down by Paul Osterman of the Golden Knights.
Myers is a very tough runner. As we said, we talked about him earlier about being the power runner, the classic type of back. That time we saw it, although he did get some great blocking up front. He's able to power close to the first down. It's going to be 3rd and 4.
1:35 remaining. Gilson looks, lays it out. Going to overshoot his tight end, Peter Matthews. Gilson did a good job that time of looking for the quick pass, didn't have it, and was able to send his receivers, literally waved Matthews on down the field and just missed it.
Gilson has average feet for a quarterback. He's not going to be scrambling around a lot. He's more of a quarterback, as we saw, who kind of sits back in the pocket to look for his receivers.
Pat Sullivan and Brian Miller deep as Myers gets off a nice punt. It'll hit on about the 5-yard line, and it's going to roll out of bounds on the 1. Outstanding punt by Rob Myers.
He's been hitting some pretty good ones in the last few games, and there he hit one that'll put St. Francis deep in their own, way back at their own 1-yard line.
This looks like deja vu to Coach Terry Terrazone. Last week, the Pasadena Bulldogs came out in the first half and scored a quick 21 points, and the Golden Knights had to fight their way back. All right, now we see the Golden Knights line up in the wishbone. Quarterback sneak by Batance. He gets it across the 5 out to the 6, where the defensive line for the Spartans bring him down.
I believe that's the first time tonight we've seen that wishbone operated by St. Francis. They're going to put Alan Grant as the tailback, Scott Colton as the fullback, and Anton Nistel as the slot back in those situations.
Little sophomore Jim Dansby for La Cañada, number 21. He's 5'9", 175-pound linebacker, was in on the tackle. Batance hands it off to the fullback, Scott Colton. He gets it out to about the 12-yard line, where it'll be a first down. Dansby in on the tackle again.
Starting at nose guard tonight for the La Cañada defense is Brian Damon. He is the 2A wrestling champion from last year. It's not like you're going up against Andre the Giant, but if you're going up against a guy like Brian Damon, you know you're going to be in big trouble.
You get a little picture of all the color that's here in high school football games every Friday night. The Song Girls from La Cañada High School, where they feature the Kirsten Girls. Kristen, I guess it is. Kristen Colton and Kristen Barton. Grant off his right tackle, again brought down by Dansby.
Usually Dork Aladonian is the guy who usually gets most of the tackles for La Cañada, but for some reason Dansby has been able to break in there and get some good tackles.
At the end of the first quarter here at La Cañada High School, the Spartans of La Cañada 7 and the Golden Knights 0. We'll be right back with the second quarter.
There's nothing more precious than a baby. But your baby's health depends on the health of its mother. If you're pregnant and smoking, quit smoking because you love your baby. There's never been a better time to quit. There's never been a better reason to call your American Lung Association. In Los Angeles, call 484-9300. It's a matter of life and breath.
Howard! Healthy children, that's what the March of Dimes team is all about.
And more, good health at birth through prevention of birth defects. Because birth defects can be life defects. Prevention, that's the March of Dimes answer.
So join the March of Dimes team. Nothing works for health at birth. So please, give to the March of Dimes.
Here from La Cañada High School, it's second down. The Golden Knights of St. Francis with the ball on their own 12-yard line, or 14-yard line. Grant with the ball. He cuts it to the outside. Halter and Chase. He's down the sideline. Finally brought down. Knocking him out of bounds was number 42, Ian Parker.
Ian Parker, the other safety, along with Aladonian. That time, Alan Grant just ran down the sidelines, and he was lucky for La Cañada that Parker was there to just push him out. Otherwise, of course, that would have been 6 points.
Down to the 25-yard line, where it will be 1st and 10. I formation. The handoff goes to the slot back. Anton Nissel. Flags go flying. Referee Leo Hindler in the white hat says face mask against La Cañada, which will move that ball down 15 yards. While they're doing that, why don't you tell us about the first quarter, Mike?
Yes, the stats at the end of the first quarter. In rushing, St. Francis had 8 carries, 31 yards. La Cañada had 52 yards rushing. In passing, St. Francis had 8 yards passing, while La Cañada had 40 yards passing. The quarterback for La Cañada was 3 for 8 for 40 yards. More stats after this play, Bob.
Alan Grant, with a 63-yard run, gets the Golden Knights in position to score here, just outside the 10-yard line. Grant with the ball again, cuts to the outside. Halter with the first hit, gets it down to the 5-yard line.
Back with the statistics at the end of the first quarter. Total yards for St. Francis, only 39. Most of them, I suspect, picked up by Alan Grant, while La Cañada has 92 yards at the end of the first quarter. La Cañada had 6 first downs, St. Francis is 2. St. Francis fumbled once, but they were able to get it back. St. Francis had 1 penalty for 5 yards, which negated that touchdown run by Alan Grant early in the first quarter.
So far, he's had scampers of 75 and 63. Batance with the quarterback sneak down to about the 2-yard line. For a bunch of Spartans in on the tackle.
Batance in the first quarter was 1 for 3 for 8 yards passing.
Again, the Golden Knights come out in the wishbone. Batance on the quarterback sneak keeps it down to about maybe the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard. Brian Damon in on the tackle along with Ernie Gonzalez and Ernie Putler for the Spartans.
The officials are going to measure now, Bob. It's been an impressive drive now by St. Francis, who I believe started at their own 1-yard line after La Cañada punted, and they've just come down the field again.
Well, you're looking at an offensive line that is monstrous. 255, 225, 224, 190, 240, and 195 across the front. And when you get that size of a line, you're going to wear down your opponents. That's for sure.
They'll be short of the first down, so it's going to be 4th and 1. Bob.
Something you don't see too often. A young lady on the chain. In the I formation, but Tance sets him. The handoff goes to Grant, and he's into the touchdown, into the end zone for the touchdown. With 9:42 remaining in the second quarter, it's 7-6.
Alan Grant gets that elusive touchdown that was negated in the first quarter, but now he's got it back, and now St. Francis will try for the extra point.
Hello. Anton Nissel will do the kicking for the Golden Knights, and he splits the uprights, and it's 7-7.
On the drive by St. Francis, they took 9 plays. They went 99 yards for that touchdown. Alan Grant taking in from the 1, and they had up 3 minutes and 40 seconds off the clock. A very impressive drive by St. Francis, who had a touchdown taken away from him, as we said in the first quarter, but now they've tied it up 7-7 here in the second quarter. We've got 9 minutes and 42 seconds remaining.
Alan Grant certainly lives up to all the reputation that we've seen of him, and with averaging with 339 yards coming into this ball game in 2 ball games, you can see, ladies and gentlemen, what kind of an athlete he is. We got to see him play once last year, and he was impressive then.
He was held at 55 yards last week, so he wants to have, naturally he will want to do better this week. He was very embarrassed by that loss to Pasadena.
Hallahan and Halter deep. Nissel will do the kicking. So Michael Phillips sets the Golden Knights. Nissel kicks it out of the end zone. You don't see that too often in high school.
No, of course you know what they're doing in college now, Bob, is if the ball is kicked out of the end zone, instead of taking it up to the 20-yard line, they're taking it up to the 30-yard line. That's kind of a new rule in college football.
Well, in high school football, just to get the ball to the end zone is an accomplishment. Jay Gilson sets them. The pitch goes to Halter. Tries to sweep his right side and is met head on. Arobio, the nose guard, slides across and makes the tackle.
Arobio is a sophomore, one of the few sophomores on this starting defensive line for St. Francis. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. I have stats on Alan Grant. He has 9 carries for 87 yards and 1 touchdown so far.
Only 87, huh?
Yeah, only an 87.
It's early.
Yeah.
Dilson sets him. The handoff goes to Myers, and he's met by a brick wall of awful big white-shirted Golden Knights. Dinger, Arobio, Moss, and DeRose.
Ball near the 25, on a 35 starting, around 25-yard line.
St. Francis High School has only been in existence since 1949.
They have a very beautiful high school there. We were up there yesterday. It's very nice.
Gilson back to pass. Big rush. Fumbles. St. Francis is going to recover the ball. Well, now, wait a second. Referee Leo Hendler says I blew the whistle and stopped it at the 12-yard line. The word will be 4th down, and we'll see Rob Myers punt.
Some rushing statistics on Myers so far, Bob. He has 6 carries for 41 yards. Now let's see how well of a punt he gets off against St. Francis.
Sullivan and Miller deep. High snap. He still gets away. A nice booming punt where Miller will take on the 45-yard line and cuts it across the 40 down to about the 43-yard line of the La Cañada Spartans, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Golden Knights.
Now we'll get a chance to see how St. Francis does in their, I think, their 3rd possession of the game so far. They are tied with La Cañada 7-7, and we have a timeout on the field. I'm sorry, we don't.
That's all right, Mike. Grant, Missile, and Colton in the backfield. Missile slotted to the left. The handoff goes to Grant. He cuts it outside, finds running room where he's hit head on by Dork Aladoyan. Dork Aladoyan is a 6'1", 185-pound senior.
He also has a grade point average of 4.0. Coach Silverman says that he may not be the fastest on the team or the strongest, but he combines his incredible intelligence with the knack of just being in the right place at the right time, and there you saw it on that play.
Kind of reminds you of our director, Ron Hudson.
That's right.
4.0. Handoff goes to Grant. Grant stacked up at about the 27-yard line. I don't believe he got the 1st down. We'll have to wait and see where they mark it.
He was very close, but they're going to bring out the chain gang right now.
Leo Hendler calls timeout and says, "Bring on the chain gang." Maybe he just wants to look at that young lady on the on one of the chains there, Mike.
Yeah, let me take a look at her. Yes, she's coming out in the field right now.
Well, as usual, I was wrong. It's a 1st down.
We were talking earlier about Aladoyan. He is practically the quarterback of the defense for the La Cañada Spartans. He calls the defensive formations, then he will audible to make sure that they shift formations whenever the situation arises.
1st and 10, but Chance brings him out. They come out in the wishbone, and they're going to shift into the power I. Grant about 7 yards back. Splitting to the left is Missile. Colton, the fullback, off his right tackle with a big hole. Down across the 10 to about the 9-yard line, where it will be a 1st down.
There we see the offensive line for St. Francis opening up some holes on the La Cañada defense. They've got a very, very big offensive line, and they're starting to break through right now.
Well, just when you start keying on a player, that's when they give it to somebody else. And
Coach Silverman said in the pregame show he didn't want to key too much on Alan Grant, just get a hold of the guy who's got the ball.
Paul Osterman now at the slot back replacing Nissel. The handoff again goes to Colton. He's down to about the 9-yard line, where it'll be second down. The Golden Knights can pick up a first down. Pat Sullivan into the ball game. He replaces Sam McDermott. Sullivan split to the right. Into the slot goes Osterman. The pitch goes to Grant. He spins off one tackle and gets down to about the 1-yard line, where it looks like he got the first down. He did. How about that, Mike? I wasn't wrong that time.
No, you weren't. Alan Grant does it again. He found some daylight that time. You got some good blocks, I believe, from Jamie DeRose and David Hellstrom, the tackles, and he was able to get down on the left side, and he's got the first down.
4:30 remaining here in the first half. To a capacity crowd here at La Cañada High School, about 4,000 people enjoying this ball game tonight. These two schools haven't played since 1965. Coach Silverman is signaling for a timeout, doesn't get it, but Alan Grant stopped. Steve Halter coming up quickly to make the tackle.
Halter, usually used as a wide receiver or a running back on the offense, had his work cut out for him tonight. He's been up and down the sideline trying to get some tackles there for La Cañada.
It'll be second and goal for the Golden Knights.
For the halftime show featuring the band, Joe King, Paul Flash. Also our 50-50 drawing on our SOS special
The
presentation.
chance sets him.
And up to
Colton, the fullback, and he's into the end zone for the touchdown. With 3:24 remaining here in the first half, it's 13-7, St. Francis.
Another big ball control drive there by the St. Francis Golden Knights. Alan Grant getting most of the yardage, but Scott Colton scored the touchdown, and now the try for the extra point.
Bill Schneidner will hold, and Anton Nissel will attempt it. Anton Nissel, the soccer-style kicker. He splits the uprights, kicks it into the tennis courts here at La Cañada High School, and it's 14-7.
On the scoring drive by St. Francis, 9 plays, 37 yards. They ate up 4 minutes and 36 seconds off the clock. It was kept by that touchdown run by Scott Colton. 3:24 remaining to play here in the first half, Bob.
Mike, it's been an exciting first half with St. Francis taking control. Mike, you'll be seeing, the people are going to be seeing our cameras all over this year doing football games throughout the year, but Falcon covers a lot more than local sports. There's a show on Falcon 3 called Cityscapes, and it features events and personalities in your city. Next week, the show visits some amazing kids from Taiwan with unique interpretations of sports. And we'll tell you a little bit more about this after Anton Nissel puts his foot into the ball. Michael Phillips sets the Golden Knights. Again, into the end zone for Nissel. The ball will come out to the 20-yard line. Now let's finish telling you about Cityscapes. We also meet some of the, this is interesting because we're going to meet a passionate gardener, Mike.
Oh, no.
And he's at the Alhambra Community Garden, and we go to a Bon Voyage party in Chinatown with some friends from Alhambra and Monterey Park. Watch Cityscapes Tuesdays and Thursday nights.
And out to Rob Myers.
Rob Myers.
That's on the other 25 again.
He gets about 5 yards.
Alston and Batonce on the stop. And it goes to 5 for a second and
Rick
5.
Batance's little brother, Mike Batance, in on the tackle.
Mike Batance is 6'1 and a half, 185 pounds, and he's a junior.
One of the 4 Batance brothers. The other 2 went to San Gabriel High School where they distinguished themselves as quarterbacks. Myers gets back to the line of scrimmage.
On the pile for St. Francis in the 61, Mark Hanjabar. And Cunha.
Ed Cunha on the tackle, along with Mark Conjavar. Timeout by St. Francis, using their second timeout.
Well, we have a timeout, Bob. I'll remind the people of the game we have next week here on the high school game of the week. We've got a good one coming up in Monrovia between the Bulldogs of Pasadena High and the Wildcats of Monrovia. Pasadena is led by their great quarterback Loy McBride and running back Cleo Bates. Monrovia is the defending champion in the Rio Hondo League. That's next week here on the high school game of the week on Falcon Cable Television.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, along with that passionate Gardner.
Yes, that's right. Pasadena High is the top-ranked, one of the top-ranked teams in the San Gabriel Valley area in high school football this year.
Maybe we can get our director, Ron Hudson, to get that passionate Gardner out to one of the football games. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I thought he was going to get it for us last week.
All right, enough of this nonsense. It's 3rd and 4 here with 2:27 remaining. Gilson in and out of the hands of Justin Kent. In and out of the hands. If he had the first down, it's just one of those things where that ball just didn't seem to have a handle on it.
That was a nice pass by Jay Gilson that time, as you said. Justin Kent just couldn't come up with the ball. Punting situation now for La Cañada.
Myers again gets it out. Well, Brian Miller has it on his 42-yard line. He's up to about the 48, where he's brought down on a nice tackle.
How many times have you been watching a talk show and wanted to set the guest straight? Hi, I'm John Kabara, the host of a brand new program on Falcon Cable TV called Out in Front. Out in Front is a live call-in show, and we'll give you that opportunity to express your opinion. Every other Tuesday, we'll be discussing important and controversial issues that affect you. That's Tuesdays, 7 p.m., Channel 3. It's a live call-in program. Please join us.
Another tackle that time for Aladorian.
I'm sure Coach Silverman did not want to see La Cañada or St. Francis get the ball again with 1:57 remaining. Missile in motion. Sets himself split left. Back to passes Batance. Screen to Grant. Breaks one tackle. Ernie Gonzalez came across and made a nice stop of Alan Grant.
Ernie Gonzalez is the strongest member of this defensive line for La Cañada. Coach Steve Silverman has had his players do a lot of weightlifting in the off-season and during the school year. They lift weights, I guess, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. but that wasn't even enough to stop Alan Grant that time.
Very well executed screenplay that time. Batanz rolled to his left, and Grant just kind of slid over to the right. Batanz again rolling out to his left. He has Pat Sullivan for the touchdown.
The second good pass in a row that time by Rick Batanz, and this one is to complete to Pat Sullivan for the touchdown. Another 6 points for St. Francis. They're ahead 20-7, and now for the extra point attempt.
With 51 seconds remaining, we'll see Anton Nissel again attempt the extra point.
Lightning struck on that play, Bob. 2 plays, 52 yards, and it ate up only a minute and 32 seconds off the clock. And La Cunada will head to the dressing room, it looks like, with a 21-7 deficit.
48-yard pass play from Batanz to Sullivan. 2 points. Nice execution by Bill Scheidner. Morgan McKnight on the reception. 22-7.
A surprise conversion attempt that time by St. Francis, so now they'll be up 22-7.
Well, what that's all about right there, Mike, is that next week there's some scouts here watching this ball game. That's just something else for them to have to work on. That's called a show and tell.
Well, they showed something that time.
All right. St. Francis will kick off their third kickoff or fourth kickoff of the first half. The Golden Knights have kind of taken command of this ball game, 22-7 with 51 seconds remaining.
They've scored all 22 points here in the second quarter.
This will kick off, altering non-MD3
Coach Steve Silverman will be our guest at halftime. Nissel sends it in deep into the end zone where it cannot be run out. High school rules state that once the ball crosses the plane of the goal line, the ball is dead. And La Cunada will take over on their own 20-yard line.
They have 50 seconds to work with here in the first half, and let's see if they can drive down the field and maybe get some points.
Gilson, Halter, Rob Myers, with Myers in motion.
Bob Myers in motion. Gilson to throw. Pass incomplete. Out in the flat. Intended for Eric Riegler.
Eric Riegler, the intended receiver.
Paul Osterman. We'll bring a second again.
Paul Osterman on the defense for the Golden Knights. 47 seconds remain.
Osterman, one of the defensive backs, along with Mike Taormina. And they've got 3 good safeties there for St. Francis. They've been doing a very good job of trying to fend off Jay Gilson tonight.
Riegler and Kent to the right. Intended receiver is Riegler. He overshoots him.
Coverage by number 44, Mike Taormina. Bring a third and 10.
On the coverage was Mike Taormina for the Golden Knights.
That was kind of a frozen rope thrown by Jay Gilson. I don't know how else you can describe it. It was kind of out there in the flack, and he overshot Riegler. He almost had it intercepted as well because there are 3 guys around it.
Halliman and Riegler to the right. Myers in motion to the left. And he throws behind Rob Myers, and what you saw right there was a mistake on the part of Anton Nissel where he hit Myers out of bounds on a 3rd and 10 play, which will now give La Cunada new life and a first down, because that's going to be unnecessary roughness and a 15-yard penalty.
They still have 38 seconds. La Cunada still has 38 seconds to work with. This half is not over. And you know Coach Silverman wants some points. They like to drive down there and get a touchdown.
Coach Terry Terrazone taking Missile out immediately and talking to him and reminding him of the situation. I don't think the young man did it intentionally, Mike. I think it was just a situation where in the moment of the ball game you get there and you do something like that. Gilson back to pass. Heavy rush. Jeffrey Arobio in quickly for the Golden Knights and got part of Gilson's arm on that.
Yes, looks like Gilson really never should have thrown at that time. He just kind of half-heartedly threw it that time.
33 seconds remain here in the first half. Fans from Locking Out all standing and giving support to their team. Gilson again back to pass. He has Steve Halter. He's up to about the 43-yard line with the clock running, and La Cañada will take a timeout with 21 seconds remaining. La Cañada still has 2 timeouts remaining. St. Francis has 1. Be a good time for La Cañada if they get a quick score here. It puts them right back in the ball game, and they go in at halftime with a little upbeat tempo, Mike. They need this score and they need this drive right now to take them into that locker room at halftime with a little spirit.
That's right. They've been struck hard by the St. Francis offense, which, as we said, has scored all 22 points here in the second quarter. And that pass play they scored the last touchdown was like lightning. So they need something to perk them up before this half closes.
Well, it's been an interesting first half because La Cañada came out and really drove the ball down the field well on that first series of plays and held St. Francis on their first series of plays. And then Alan Grant just seemed to take over and drive the ball down the throats of the Spartans. Gilson back to pass. He has Halter. Overshoots him. Mike Durnis on the coverage for the Golden Knights.
4th down coming up now for La Cañada. 19 seconds are on the clock. It's going to be 4th and 2, I believe.
4th down and 2 with 19 seconds.
The defense for La Cañada may have to start keying on Alan Grant if they want to shut him down. But, of course, that isn't like Coach Silverman's style. His basic defense motto is make something happen. So they like to get their defense to swarm around the guy with the ball. And so what they're going to have to do is get that defense to try to swarm around Alan Grant and try to make him cough up the football a couple of times or shut him down.
Well, they have 1 play left here to get a first down. There's 19 seconds to go. They need 2 yards. So what do, Mike? Do you go for the first down?
Well,
or do you go for the score?
Well, I might go for the first down and then call a timeout. Then what I might do with the seconds left, maybe try to throw a Hail Mary into the end zone. But, of course, I'm no coach. That's why Steve Silverman and Terry Terrazone is down on the sidelines, and I'm up here.
Some of the local color here at La Cañada High School. Fourth and 2. What Jay Gilson was attempting to do on that particular play was get the first down without trying.
Well,
he's going to try to draw the Golden Knights offside. They didn't bite, and they're going to be forced to punt now.
That's a crucial mistake made by the La Cañada offense. Jay Gilson meant well, but he blew an opportunity to get the first down, took away a timeout, and now they're going to have to punt it away.
But on the other side of the coin, Mike, if they turn the ball over there, St. Francis only has 48 yards to go for a touchdown, or 44 yards to go for a touchdown, so why not make them go the length of the field? Myers is back to punt. Brian Miller Pat Sullivan deep. They'll let it roll. The ball will be touched and down at the 30-yard line with 9 seconds remaining, time for one play.
9 seconds left to go in the half.
Coming up at halftime, we'll give you the statistics, and also I'm going to be down on the sideline talking to Coach Steve Silverman, whose team is behind 22-7, and the clock is running out here in the first half.
Timeout, St. Francis.
Timeout, Knight. 3 seconds left to go in the half.
More than likely, the Golden Knights are going to try for one big play, or, on the other hand, they're just going to kill the ball.
Well, they're down by 22-7, and we'll have to see what they do. Only 3 seconds remaining on the clock, as you can see.
Steve Silverman is new here at La Cañada with a new coaching staff. He has R.J. Lacurdo, who's taking care of his offensive line and the inside linebackers. Ken Kurtz has the defensive backs and the running backs. Pat MacArthur has the the outside linebackers and the wide receivers, and Mike Reno has the tackles and the tight ends and the defensive line. Anton Nissel split to his right. Sam McDermott to the left. Patance back to pass and airs it out. Intended to Sullivan. He has it. He's down across the 20 to about the 18-yard line. Flag is down. There's no time remaining.
Referees are talking with the La Cañada defense. Holding.
Holding penalties declined. The half will be over with. So at the end of the first half here at La Cañada High School, it's 22 for St. Francis and 7 for La Cañada. Good first half, Mike.
Yes, it was. We've said all along that La Cañada started the opening kickoff and drove down the field. Bob Myers scored a touchdown. It was 7-0. And then in the second quarter, it was all pretty much St. Francis and pretty much Alan Grant, who just took over and dominated. He scored a touchdown. Colton scored a second touchdown to make it 14-7 St. Francis. And then Pat Sullivan got a 48-yard touchdown pass from Rick Batance to make it 22-7 St. Francis after the two-point conversion.
And you have Alan Grant with 13 carries and 105 yards for the first half. He's been a busy young man. 22-7 here at the end of the first half as the La Cañada band comes out on the field, and we'll be back with the statistics and Coach Steve Silverman in just a few minutes.
That's Jenny. But that's not Jenny's dad. If she gets into that car, you may be looking at Jenny for the last time. I'm McGruff, the crime dog. Let me show you something. See that playground? A lot of kids there. Every day in this country, 60 kids disappear. Some run away, but a lot are kidnapped by strangers or even by people they know. Almost 20,000 kids a year. 20,000 kids, one kid at a time. Maybe your kid, on your street, just like Jenny. You know, your kids can learn to protect themselves against crime at home, at school, on the street. Hey, nice going, Jenny. She's gonna tell her folks about this. And you can write to McGruff. Learn how to keep your family and your community safe and help take a bite out of crime.
Here on the campus of La Cañada High School, we're at halftime where the Golden Knights of St. Francis have a 22-7 lead. It's been an exciting first half, Mike. Let's take a look at the statistics.
All right, statistics at the end of the first half. For St. Francis, 142 yards rushing, most of those yards coming from Alan Grant, and only 51 for La Cañada. Passing so far, 59 yards passing for the St. Francis quarterback, Rick Patance, while La Cañada's quarterback is 4 for 14 for 48. That's Jay Gilson. Now, total yards so far, 201 yards for St. Francis and only 99 for La Cañada. There have been 8 first downs for the Golden Knights, while the Spartans of La Cañada have 7. 1 fumble for St. Francis. They didn't lose it. They're 2 out of 3 in third down conversions, while La Cañada is 3 for 6, 50%. 3 penalties for 30 yards against St. Francis. 1 penalty negated a touchdown run by Alan Grant. La Cañada had 1 penalty for 15 yards. Total possession for St. Francis, 12 minutes and 27 seconds, while La Cañada has 10 minutes and 24 seconds.
Well, you take a 75-yard run from Alan Grant that was called back and a 63-yard run. The man is obviously living up to his statistics. 13 carries for 105 yards. Like we said earlier, he's been a busy man tonight, and we look forward to the second half. And Mike will be back shortly with Steve Silverman, and he's going to find out what La Cañada is going to do to stop those Golden Knights here in the second half. Murray with the kickoff. 32. Tracy Thomas is brought down. Peter Kamar on the tackle. First and 10 for the Golden Knights. We'll be going down the sidelines in just a moment to Mike Peterson and Steve Silverman. All right, let's go to Mike Peterson right now.
Very quickly, Coach Silverman, any defensive changes?
Well, we just have to shut down Grant. I mean, he's getting around the corner on us, and with his speed, we're in trouble. We're going to do a couple things to come off the corner a little bit, try and turn him up inside into the pursuit. That's really it.
Looks like your defensive line is being overpowered by the big offensive line of St. Francis right now.
I don't know. They're not running inside on us that much. The problem is we're forcing him to go wide, and we're not getting anything to turn it back in, and that's what we have to do.
Coach, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, back up to Mr. High School Sports himself, Bob Bria.
Thank you, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, you didn't miss much, just a penalty. The Golden Knights were penalized 5 yards for illegal procedure. Nissel in motion to the right. Back to passes Bant. Delay to Grant. Grant breaks 1, 2 tackles and is finally brought down by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Spartans, led in there by Dork Aladoyan and Steve Halter. It'll be second down and 6. Second and 11. Capacity crowd here at La Cañada High School, about 4,000 people. Batant sets his line. The pitch goes to Grant to the short side of the field. He breaks the tackle and gets across the 35-yard line, or he's run out of bounds by Parker and Dork Aladoyan. He picks up the first down. It'll be first and 10 for the Golden Knights at the 34-yard line, their own 34-yard line. Pat Sullivan split to the right, Nissel in the slot. Colton and Grant and Batant. The handoff goes to Colton. Gets it to about the 37-yard line. Let's set that offensive team for the Golden Knights with Patanz at quarterback, Colton the fullback, Grant the tailback, Missile the slot back. Either Sam McDermott, Paul Osterman are the wide receivers. Hallstrom, Miller, Tanovev, Seabolt, DeRosa, and Conrad across the front. Patanz sets him. The handoff goes to Osterman, who gets about 3, where it'll be 3rd down and 5. Back up in the booth, joining us after the long jaunt through the student body section is Mike Peterson.
Yes, I can tell you. I know this is a great stadium here at La Cañada, but they've got to devise a way so that broadcasters can get back up to the booth quickly.
Oh, come on, Mike. You were just looking at all the teenage girls now. Wait a second. Third and a long 5. It goes to Grant. Eric Putler. Eric is 6'1", 200-pound junior, came shooting across and makes the tackle.
That time, Alan Grant was surrounded by Butler and the rest of the La Cañada defense. No go that time for Alan Grant.
4th down. Halter will be deep. Julio Caballo doing the punting. Halter